Hello everybody, it's Leela.
And Beau.
And welcome back to my channel.
Welcome.
We're a little bit
podcast.
late
We're a little bit
for
late.
this episode. We're combining a recap for episode 4 and 5 of And Audition. That's what we're going to discuss today.
Yes. Episode 4 is more performance stuff, right?
5 was
No, what was 4 then?
games.
Oh, right. Right.
So before we begin, if you like these sorts of discussions, please subscribe to my channel because we do them every weekend. And yeah, and leave us a comment. Let us know who your favorite trainee or trainees are.
Keep it to 5 and under, please.
No.
They're just going to do all 15.
Yeah. So let us begin.
Please.
Okay.
Da-da-da.
Okay. It's been a week. We've both been sick at various times this week.
Yeah.
So energy levels aren't like super
Well,
duper high today.
you
for
didn't
me.
nap. I napped. You didn't nap.
So
I
like,
don't know. We love naps.
I'm not like as caffeinated or energetic as normal. So please forgive.
Let Taki be our energy. Or
Okay.
Maki her. Come on.
Okay.
Don't let him down.
So episode 4, which was last week, instead of doing any of the performances or showing any of the practice, they just played like a variety show game. And again, the whole like and ball and you earn the balls to the...
Were they earning and balls during the game?
They presented it as, this is, you're going to earn some extra ball things for your variety show skills because that's a skill of an idol, okay? And then at the end, they're like, just kidding, no balls were earned. It's like,
Well,
what is going on?
I think the and ball thing, they're just literally making up as they go along. They're like, oh, what do we do today?
Clearly, they're making it up as
We'll
it goes
talk about
along,
that, but-
and that it's totally meaningless.
Well, no, it means something. They just have no
it's
idea
mean-
yet. What they're like, wait, did we do?
It's the worst system as like this is how the
We'll
group
we'll
is
talk
just- I don't know.
about it because I've thought a lot about how my brain doesn't wrap around it. But we'll talk about it on their episode 5. But the games were cute and fun, and of course they're all funny. During the games you really realize, not when it begins, but if you give it a minute to start filming, you can really tell the ones who are going to be kind of awkwardy and stuff and just aren't really that comfortable doing this stuff. But most of them did pretty well, I think. That some of them stood out, of course. I think you really see it when they win, how excited they get. Those kids, it's kind of like, you're buying a puppy, and you go to the what you call it, the shelter, or let's say you want to. You see this with like CNI dog puppy potentials. They go to little puppy,
dog puppies.
and what do? They go, now watch their behavior when they get excited. Who doesn't get excited, and who's willing to be around humans and who's not. All these little behaviors. And you can when you get a bunch of young people together, they tend to get really competitive, especially young boys in K-pop, and because it's very competitive, and you can tell the ones who, when the excitement fires off, who gets excited and who doesn't, which puppy is actually social and which. But most of them are good. But let's just say I think there's 3 or 4 guys who are still, I think, struggling with being comfortable in this world or something. They just still seem really awkward. Now, some people are just quiet, but some of them really seem like they need to wake up. They made comments on that,
The
too.
other part of that show, aside from the games was cute, of course. They had a little campfire and they ate and all that stuff, and then when they were supposed to get their like balls for having done things, it was actually a letter from their families. And they're filming this in Korea, even though this is for a J-pop group that I assume would be active more in Japan. I don't know. So a lot of these kids are away from home and stuff.
I think only 3 or 4 are actually Korean, right?
So it was like very emotional. They got to hear from their parents.
Yeah. No, I think it was a good,
which was sweet. And then they, for some reason, like sat around and they're like, does anyone have anything they want to say to somebody to like talk through?
Yeah. Go ahead and keep explaining. Yeah, I'm gonna let the dog go.
Okay. So
explain.
I'm gonna keep explaining. So they kind of went around the circle and said, does anybody have anything they wanted to talk about or, get off your chest? which was interesting. And they spent a lot of the time focused on the relationship between Maki and Harua, which up until this point, I can't say that any of us had really noticed their interactions or I hadn't really thought much about it. But they had been hanging out together, and Maki was feeling like, he's a much more expressive person. He likes to roughhouse, and he's more into kinetic play. Is that what you call it?
We're off our game today. And by the way, by illness, we didn't mean COVID, by the way. We're just
not that kind of illness.
Nothing like that.
Just other illnesses. Yeah. Other unrelated illnesses.
Yeah. He's a bit more rambunctious. Yeah.
And, kind of likes to, he's touchy-feely with people when he likes them or feels affectionate and stuff. And Harua is one of those very more standoffish people who doesn't really like that sort of thing. So he was kind of feeling annoyed with Maki and his, energy. And so Maki was saying that he felt bad about that and that he didn't actually like him, and that it was it was weirdly personal.
Yeah, people made some comments on it saying it sounded kind of personal stuff. But at the same time, they asked them. And I think when something legit comes out, they're kind of like, oh crap, real emotion.
Maki was really upset and crying and stuff, and Harua again is not the most expressive or emotional person. So he in the moment wasn't even making big efforts to comfort Maki or anything. Yeah, he was just
we don't.
He didn't even say it's okay. I don't dislike you. Don't feel bad.
He did later. He said
not really. Did he? I don't know. He
patted him on the.
It's been a while. I don't remember, and I just felt like it was a bit.
Yeah, right. But again, we have to remember that everybody's new at this game, even the 4 that are going to be in the group. They're also new at life. They're young people.
Yeah.
There's you don't. Heck, we're not quite as young as we used to be, and we're still learning. Social interactions and stuff. So I don't want to have that reflect negatively on it. I think it is more like. I thought that I didn't think it was Maki that broke it up. I thought it brought it up. I thought it was Hiro or whatever who was not the toucher but the touchy.
No.
And it reminds you look up
did he? I don't. Anyway, honestly, it's been 2 weeks. We only watched it once.
There's that funny meme of
they did talk about
here's your example for introverts and extroverts, and it's a dog daycare, and they're spraying the water, and all the labs are like, and they're 4 dogs are off in the corner, just frozen in fear, what the heck are they doing? And it's that kind of yeah. It's some people are like that. I think people felt weird about seeing that because I saw a couple comments mention that on the subreddit and stuff. Is that it was a legit complaint? I know that you don't. More real than and it's then maybe if you don't think he likes you grabbing his knee and stuff, don't grab his knee and stuff because I think a lot of K-pop idols are like. Oh, they're just touchy-feely people. They touch each other's.
Not everyone's like that.
That's a stereotype.
Some people are like that. Not
everybody's
everyone's
different,
like that, and
even
that's
in
okay.
K-pop. Yeah, leave them alone.
But it felt very real, which is unusual in such a situation that is so fake and not real. That is like a interpersonal dynamic you might have with someone that you want to be friends with, but they're very different than you, and then I'm afraid you don't really like me.
It does make me wonder if they ever cut out some of these shows.
I just hope that there was I haven't read anything online because, again, there's very little discussion about this show online. I don't think there's not really a big audience.
Well,
seeing.
We don't see Japanese
subreddits
and forums.
And I'm not really going to look for it, so I'm not seeing the discussions as much. That no one took that negatively towards either of them, or
they're both
towards Maki saying,
I think it was just a bit strange to take a peek into the fourth wall in a way.
It really broke. It
was almost
wall.
like discussing bathroom habits or something. It's like no, that's enough. But it was fine. I'm glad they said it and stuff like that. They even brought it up in episode 5. They said, "Hey, last time you had this awkward moment where you're talking. It's like okay, you asked for real emotions. They wanted those kids to cry." They gave them the letters and all that stuff like that. That's the clickbaity stuff that these channels want you to do is click on it because he's crying. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to do that and show that. I should say it's harder for some people to emotionally be that open than others. Mm-hmm. And so he just might not be. I think his Harura might not be as touchy-feely. More reserved. I mean, you can look at BTS. Even BTS, if you're familiar with them all, the biggest group in the world, and they have a more touchy-feely. Jimin's more touchy-feely. You know, somebody's a little more off. You know, there's that personality type in every group. It's just how people are.
Okay.
So I like the games. Fun. It was fun though.
And then 5 was on to the actual performances, so we'll move into that now.
Now this was a good episode.
4 was like, it was okay. 5 was all the performances, which I'm glad. I like it when they put all the performances in one episode so we can compare them to each other and like discuss them all at once.
How long was the episode? It seemed like it's pretty long.
Just like an hour or so. Okay.
There's not as many people, I guess, so they only did, 3 groups?
3 teams.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. Go ahead and explain what was going on with the song. Right?
So the first team, which consists of Fuma, Jungwon, Minyoung, Nicholas, and Yejun, we're doing 17 song Call Call Call, which is, I think, a Japanese track that I'm just not familiar with, which is kind of surprising. Like there's a 17 song I don't know, but apparently there is, and this is the song. The team leader was Fuma, and they called themselves Sea Riders as their team name.
I thought that was funny.
And he also made the choreography. Is that right? He was the team leader and choreographer.
Yeah, Fuma's my fave.
And I thought that their performance was like surprisingly well done. It
felt
was
like a group.
Really good. They felt like a group. I think that Nicholas was in his element here. Like this style of music and visual and everything like really suits him. Yeah. Weirdly, Minyoung actually did really well, and it's not weird that he did well. Sorry, I didn't mean to word it that way. It was weird that he suited this sort of like cool guy vibe, because he did, and I thought that
he's funny because when you first started seeing Minyoung, you started thinking, oh, he's like a little kid trying to kind of awkwardly act like the other kids.
He definitely stands out.
I think maybe the games episode helped. Yeah, I mean, but he really started settling, I think, into a comfort zone. He looked comfortable here, how he moved around and stuff. He didn't look awkward and nervous.
He just needs to work on his facial expressions.
He doesn't have...
The facial expressions aren't there.
I mean, that can be fixed, easily.
Yeah, of course.
He's still nervous, but you can tell from somebody's body language, I think, how nervous they are. Like Hikaru, who we all love, everybody loves, but you can just see sometimes his body language is like he is inwardly pulling himself into, like, just staring at the ground. It's like, you can't do that. You're trying to be an idol. Yeah. You don't have to act like every other idol. No. There's idols who are completely, J-Hope, for example, Hikaru, where they're just completely unique people. But you have to look like you want to be on the stage. And Minyoung, in this song, if you watch it, he looks like he's wanting to be part of the group.
Yeah. I think he's got
He's not trying to be like the older guys and try to be cool, like taller or anything. He's himself. Yeah.
He's got a lot of potential. I don't think he's there yet. But he's an interesting kid, and he's got a lot of potential, and I look forward to what he's going to end up doing.
I mean, he's a shorter kid. He's still got to grow into his looks a bit.
He's such an interesting little idol. You know?
Those are some of my favorites. Though.
Fuma did excellent. He looks like a pro. He looks like an already debuted idol. Like we've said that last time too. Yeah. Like he's very comfortable. He's very confident. He's just pro. Like I really
every
like
time
him.
I see him, I think I'm not saying he will be in this
group.
I'm
very mature.
Saying if I described him to somebody, if I saw a photo or some videos, I would say, oh, he's in a K-pop group, let's say 7 people, and he's the leader.
Yeah, he has that vibe.
He's a little older looking too. He acts a little older, which is good. He's a mature kid. You want someone like that in your group and stuff. Yeah. I don't think he would clash with other people's leadership style or whatever, but I think that he showed... And we talked about this. I forget what's his name, the choreographer for BTS and Hybe, who's in the show. He's super good, of course. And you look at that guy and you're like, oh, like P Dog or whatever. Yeah. You saw him on the street, you'd be like, oh, he's not the producer of some of the biggest acts in the world. And looks can be deceiving because that choreographer guy just kind of quiet and unassuming, but he puts together some really amazing stuff. And he gave Fuma an actual compliment and said, I was like, wow. And I told Leela, I said, that's something that's will go big compliment on your quote-unquote resume, meaning that when people mention you, you go to a K-pop video and somebody in the comments says, oh, these people are great. Who are they? And somebody lists off the entire group. Some fan who's like, I've been waiting for this moment. I have a copy and paste it, that one's the funny one. That one's the singer, His thing will now come up. He's a choreographer. And he might have just inadvertently discovered one of his talents. If he hadn't already been doing it, I don't know.
We just don't know. Yeah. I think he has.
And his voice is nice. He's got a nice... It's not like a high voice. It's kind of a mid-tone voice and everything like that. Everybody sounded good. Yeah. I thought there were a few little weak spots. What I think is happening there is it's so live. They're pumping the live vocals up a bit. You're, to let us hear it and to let us hear the mistakes. So I think we hear little burps and little, little sounds and boop, boop, boop. Just little mistakes and little cutouts and
it
funny
doesn't
things.
sound perfect because it is a little bit more live, but I think that's fine. That's what you want. That's how you get to know someone's talent and their vocals.
Well, that's why the other songs were kind of harder, I think, in a way. They were a little bit, they're poppier and stuff, and that can be really hard to do. This one was more kind of quote-unquote K-pop. It was like a boy band. This is a boy band song. But you can't just pull it off. You got to work at it. And what another thing that he said about his choreographer is you didn't rip off 17, because it just didn't occur to me until we started watching. I thought, wait a second, they're going to go back and watch the 17 videos and just copy their choreographer.
Yeah.
Not that they would do it even or consciously. They would just start maybe do
inspired.
Or just like a move.
Which I thought was an interesting statement now that you bring it up, because he didn't say it again, but the other two teams actually did that. They have moves in there. Again, I don't know this song, so I don't know that.
Yeah, we go check it out.
But I know in the other two there were moves that were like borrowed from the original choreography, which I think is fine.
No, throwing a finger here and there.
But they didn't, like copy it exactly, but they were inspired moves. But this one was like made up, original, the whole thing.
Well,
I guess.
the practice
so,
one,
cool.
he had the suit jackets and stuff.
They were,
and the Japanese, again, I'm forgetting her name. Sakura was like, now this is good. Now start taking stuff out, because this is what we said.
Simplify.
We said this in what was the last show we covered? GP 999. I can't remember. Or Queendom. We did with Kepler.
Yeah.
You can do
the
a million moves.
And the props and stuff.
Why not just pull it back?
Problems,
have them be really cool looking, and even if you repeat the same thing, it is a song that has a verse, chorus, verse structure. So there's nothing wrong with repeating a certain dance. But what Fuma did originally, it looked like, was trying to come up with a million different moves, using the jackets as this and rushing forward. And it's like, and when they showed it before and after, there's a hand movement they had in the first one when they first came out, and they took that out. So he listened to that and simplified it.
They cleaned it up, It was good. It was
a great job. Fuma's my fave by
Anything
far.
on this?
No, it was a good job.
Next was Team Final Count doing 17's home run. This team was EJ, Gaku, Harua, Joe, and Maki. Their team leader was Gaku, and he made the choreography.
No, was it him that the other two did? I thought Harua and I could be wrong. No.
I think he had some help. I think they worked together.
He was involved in it though.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was the last team. He said, "So they're just there to make sure everybody's happy." Because
that was the other team.
Okay, was it?
This one, they all worked together. They did the best in their interim performance check, so they won the ability to have stage props and stage effects.
Yeah.
Which honestly was a little bit of a blessing and a curse, because they had more. It was like, here, would you like to complicate your performance that you made up from yourself?
That's exactly what I said.
And would you like to struggle? Like
exactly what I said.
So like
bubbles, sure. A bed, no.
They had something really good going. Clearly, they won the performance, and then they added in this like bed thing, and then they tried to tell a story about like you were getting up on the day to go on a field trip and you were excited and etc. But they didn't really sell that idea of that we have a storyline, which again, I don't really care if you have a storyline.
No, but
if you're going to say that you have one, I guess you need to execute it. It almost would have been better if he just didn't say it.
Yeah.
And just made some cute choreography, because they did really well. Aside from that, they sounded great. Maki vocal legend. Where does this come from? Where did it come from?
I think he's in the group.
Like Maki vocal legend. He's so smooth and stable.
If you go, we'll go watch it after this again. There's a part where he's doing the vibrator. He's like, he has sounds
it's
really
so surprising, and he's just such a surprising.
Well, he looked comfortable doing
person,
it too.
And he's so good. And you know how we feel about Gaku, best boy,
I love
child,
Gaku, but Gaku is going to have to. I think he's going to have to start showing a bit different side to him. I'm not saying it's boring or to me or anything like that, but I think that his kind of innocent, wide-eyed thing.
But that's his personality.
It is. I'm not saying just that, but I'm just saying he needs to start sticking. All these kids. We said this in GP 999 and Queen. You have to start sticking out. And EJ, for example, I couldn't tell you what EJ did this whole show, and he's in the group. Now I love EJ. I think he's a very sweet kid and stuff like that. But he seems so timid.
He's like the stable member of the group. Like he's not super expressive. He doesn't get super upset.
Well, but you're an idol.
He's a very stable individual. EJ is a very calming presence in the group.
I mean, I get that.
So I don't resent that he's a part of the group, even though I have other members that are my favorites more. Harua is like just really cute. They complimented his vocals. I can't say that it stood out to me.
Right.
Maki really owned on the vocals.
They mentioned
But they
Maki,
complimented him. And they had a lot of criticisms for Joe, which even before they started saying them, when I was watching it for the first time, I was like, I could see that there was just something there where he looked like he was struggling and he wasn't doing his facial expressions like it would come in and out. Like the moment where he's in center, he would like have a good facial expression, but then it would just click off and he would be like focusing on what he's doing and like llooking down, or he just looked a little uncomfortable, and I'm not sure why.
It's that tall, awkward kid thing that Hikaru has, where it's like
he needed more practice or something. He wasn't comfortable, and again, that's also probably because they had to change a bunch of stuff at the last minute because of adding that dumb bed and all these like props and stuff.
Maybe, but the bed was gone pretty quick. And the bubbles didn't interfere with
They were fiddling with the choreography up until almost the last minute. Yeah. So I think that made him a little less comfortable than he would have been otherwise. So and you could tell. So they had a lot of harsh criticisms for him, which really upset him a lot.
Well, if you ever like your buddy goes, "Hey man, can you come over real quick and help me move this cabinet?" You're like, "Okay, cool. All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3," and you're moving it, and that's what Joe looked like when he was picking up. What's his name at the beginning? Every time he did it, I said he looks like he's picking up.
You're thinking of the other team when they lift up Taki.
Am I thinking Hikaru?
Yes.
Oh, I'm confusing my tall, awkward boys. Well, anyway, that's my criticism next. But Joe, I think, just had unstable vocals, looked at the ground. He also rushed off the stage. Mm-hmm. Was that him? Was that the right one?
I can't remember if he was the one.
He was having fever dreams or something.
But I just remember that he got really upset. And he was really hard on himself. And, it's okay. You can have one day where you aren't perfect and it's not the end of the world. It's fine. And
I think you're trying also to do this.
I thought that they did really well.
I thought they did great, but like you said, though, this was the blessing. Like you said, this is the blessing and the curse. You're going to tell us this story about a field trip. Where's the field trip? Which I understand. I don't know how she would do it. I would have gotten something else besides the bed. Maybe there's a car or something, a bus, something that represents field trip. But it felt completely tacked on, which it was, and that was the curse of. And I remember when they started looking through the thing of props. They're like, fog, the dry ice fog, and I'm like, what are you, Phantom of the Opera? Like, you're gonna have this cute song surrounding.
I like they were like no to the fog, and then they were like confetti cannons, and they were like no to the confetti cannons. I know, because everyone hates the confetti cannons. Like everyone hates them. You can't see the screen. You can't see the screen, and it scares everyone. And they were like, what else is there? Like bubbles, and they're like, okay, do bubbles. I don't even remember seeing the bubbles. Like, who cares?
They were there. And what's his name reacted to BTS? The choreographer guy. What's his name? He was like, oh. But what I'm saying is, it was like they didn't go, oh, fog. No, they were just kind of like they didn't have any idea what they wanted. And so they looked through the entire list.
He was asking a lot of them, but
well, I have a feeling that list of items was pretty big, and they like the bed thing worked fine. I thought it was okay, but again they brought it back in the end as like I guess they came back from the field trip at that point and they were sleeping or something. Yeah. It was just strange. And what are 5 guys sleeping in one tiny bed for? Like, are you Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory's family or something? But it was a very cute performance.
It was cute, and they're adorable.
But somebody had to lose, and they had to make it obvious because they're ranking these kids, so they had to yell at somebody, and Joe was a victim.
Poor Joe.
You sure Joe didn't pick people up?
Yeah. And then the last team was Team WANGWANG doing 17's Oh My with Hayate, Hikaru, Kei, Taki, and Yuma. The team leader was Hayate. The choreographers were Kei and Yuma. And I thought their like actual performance and the choreography and the way they did everything was like really good.
Yes, but before we move on to that, the leader was Hayate. So that's when he said, so your job was just to make sure everybody was happy, and Kay, being the actual true leader of this whole show, stepped in and said, oh no, but he wasn't making it up. I think he had a legit reason. He said, no, his personality we knew would be good for, he would listen to all of our inputs and stuff like that. Something like that. So it worked out well because this was
like he
set,
was
obviously.
their leader, but then, you know, they had a different choreographer. It doesn't have to be the same person. Oftentimes a group has a leader and a main dancer that leads the choreography sessions. It doesn't have to be the same person.
Yeah.
So, like, why he acted like that was weird, I thought was kind of like, why are you acting like that's weird?
Yeah.
Sometimes a leader's, role is to just, like, be the final say on something, or to break up. If there's a debate and you can't come to a consensus, then the leader says, let's do it this way.
I don't necessarily think he was saying...
what you're doing, right?
I don't necessarily think he was saying it because you should be doing all this stuff. I think the first group had a leader who also choreographed.
Yeah.
Second group had a leader who contributed. Third leader didn't do any of that. He just led, and so he wasn't saying it like, oh, you should been helping with the choreographer. He was saying, so tell me what you were doing then.
Right.
And he basically was helping him get the stuff together. Sometimes you just need a person to kind of make a decision on a thing or whatever. I think this clip is funny too because they're arranged by size, it looks like. Like a cellular signal on your phone
with Hayate at the end because he's the shortest.
Now the thing is you have Kay in here who's Mr. Supermodel, trying to do a cutesy thing, but I think
he did really well.
I think they pulled it off great. There's that really part where he's dancing. I can't remember who he's dancing with. Was it Yuma?
Him and Taki did a dance together.
And they were like,
they were so cute together.
Be careful of this part, and they gave him a little bit of critique, but it wasn't a critique. It was just like advice, and they really worked it out well because Kay looks over and has that great moment where he smiles at him. They mentioned Taki did these little smirk smiles, not like smart aleck, but smiles. And that kind of stuff. Somebody at one point I think also goes, yeah, like, let's go kind of moment during the song off mic, not in his part. You know how idols sometimes go, yeah, and you'll hear like a woo, or they'll go woo woo during raps a lot. And Taki was doing the smiles. It just makes you look comfortable. Even if you can be nervous as hell, but you can trick the audience into thinking you're not. That's the key. You don't have to. They should tell these people you can be. If you're not scared, you're not doing it right because you're not understanding how good you should be if you want to be an idol.
Right.
But you can trick them. See, Kay, I think, and this was the criticism of Kay.
Yeah, they picked on him a little bit.
Is that he sings only good enough to not mess with his dancing.
He's thinking too much about it. He's focused too much on that aspect because that's what he's best at. So that's fair. But
my question is, was he attempting to say,
push
have one fail or the other, or go work a little harder?
Push yourself a little bit
because
harder.
this dance wasn't crazy hard or anything like that.
No.
But if you're dancing and singing and trying to hit your marks, it can be really hard. But he said, I'm going to say this to you because you're obviously the best, probably in the whole thing, one of the best.
He's the best in the whole thing.
I think so. His vocally, no, I don't think he's the complete best. But
he
he's
is.
Up there.
I just don't think they've given him the song to show that.
Yeah, but you do a 17 song,
really
you've got vocal lines in there.
Yeah.
Every 17 song is like a play. You can do
Hayate, whomst I adore, they didn't spend any time on him other than to show in the rehearsal that his vocals were just a disaster area. I don't know why. But then when they did it live, he was fine. So what happened in between those two, we don't know. I was a little worried there for a minute. I was like, oh no, honey.
I think some of them mistook the little practice thing they did. I think some of them mistook that as almost like a thing to plan out placement and less to plan out the performance.
Less to like do it like it's for real.
Like a wedding thing where you go and everybody's going to stand here and
rehearsal,
maybe they thought it was more like that rather than an actual, because those two are there to actually judge you, not to just give you advice.
And it was they spent zero time on Hikaru, on talking to him, on giving him any critique, on showing what he was doing. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, because I thought he did kind of roughly.
They've spent so much time with Hikaru, and then it was like he didn't exist, and I'll need to watch the fan cams and stuff to see if he did well, because I just can't tell.
This is what I was saying, is whenever he lifted up the guy and he just looks awkward sometimes, it doesn't mean he's bad. He just has got, if that's really his main obstacle, that's an easier one to surmount than no talent at all. We know he can dance. We know he can he sings pretty well. When he hits his register, he sounds good. It's pretty clear. But I think what they are hearing, the judges are hearing live, is way better than what we hear on the TV. Obviously, they hear balanced speakers, and it's nice, and they have the clapping, and it's just a nicer sound. We're hearing the really clear singing lines. Yeah. And sometimes they miss their parts and stuff. Or it doesn't miss it, but like they don't hit it as hard as they should. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I almost thought this group would have been number one. I mean, they didn't really pick a number one, I guess, did they?
They didn't, and they gave the teams the number of balls as for teamwork or whatever, and they like showed them putting them in the locker. They didn't show them like taking. Did they tell them taking out and putting the thing? I don't know.
No,
like. Come on, this
why they
whole
maybe
thing is so annoying.
Well, no, that's not right because they picked on K, so there wasn't. They said this is not an individual judgment thing. This is a group.
It was a group.
But anyway, the and ball's saying. Here's what my question was. They bring the lockers out. In the lockers is a little like a candy dish you put in those mints at a funeral home or a wedding or whatever. And I don't know who came. They bought them at the 5 and dime. You walk over there with these ginormous marbles that have to be able to be seen from a distance, right?
Right.
So you can only fit like so many in your hand. They're like fumbling with them. Is it 10 max? Is it 15 balls max? Is it 8?
Who knows?
So and they said that. He said, well, I don't have any idea what I'm supposed to do. And I think at some point he even said, I'm not really sure if what I gave him was good until I see the other ones or something like that.
Right.
Because if he gave the first group his favorite score, he gave them each 8. Well, then 8 is 100%. So if he gives somebody 4 of them, they got 50% left. It makes no sense. They're supposed to fill up 35% in the next 2 rounds because they only have 2 more performances until they realize if they're all going home or not, which we know is BS.
Which is insane.
Some of them are going home. They're still.
And we still don't know how many people are in the group. Okay, moving on from that, I thought we would talk again. We always do this each week about our favorite trainees.
Yeah.
Here, instead of us picking out one each, because I don't think it's changed, your fave is still what, Fuma?
Yeah, I think it's.
And my fave is still Hayate and Gaku, like my duo, and then Maki.
Hold on, you can't pick 3 all of a sudden.
Listen, I have 3 faves. So what I've done here instead today for this is kind of ranked them in the way that like I feel about how
you didn't consult me on this.
This is just me.
Well, I was sick earlier. I was sleeping, so not sick, but feeling under the weather, hungover. Let's just say hungover.
As I said, the hearts represent like my like this is how this is ranked on how I will feel about this. Okay.
Okay.
Those 3, if in any way the 3 of them are not in this group, I'm going to be devastated. Like the 3 of them have to be in this group.
Now, are you saying minus the 4 that we say are already in?
Well, yeah, we're not concerned about
I know.
So if this is a 7-member group and we have 4, 5, 6, 7, it has to be those 3 for me, or I'm devastated, or I am inconsolable for weeks. Okay, listen.
How many people are there total? I thought there were 15.
11 with the 4 that.
Oh, duh, man! I'm sorry.
Okay, the ones that have the crown, which is Hikaru, Joe, and Harua, are the ones that I think are probably have really good chances of being in the group.
Really?
In particular, Joe and Harua.
Joe, they just made Joe cry.
Listen to me though. I have reasons. Joe and Harua, I think, are shoo-ins for the group because of that high visual. Like they are a cookie cutter, beautiful, perfect idol.
Yes.
They stole Joe from another reality show to bring him here to put him in this group.
Yeah,
they're not going to send him
it's
home.
Like a round face.
I know we can pretend that like the visuals don't matter, but let's be real.
It's
everyone.
like a younger look.
The visuals matter.
Yeah.
And Harua is just like the perfect high visual. He looks like every member of Enhypen.
Yeah, but I couldn't even tell you much about her.
Like,
though, okay.
He looks like Sunu. He looks like he's just really cute.
You're not supposed to be logical about this.
So I just think those two like are a shoo-in regardless of how I feel about them. Hikaru, I sort of feel that way too. I feel like just he's so cute and his awkwardness is so charming that they can work through anything else because he's also just so pretty.
I think that
I think so. And he's tall and pretty.
They might want a taller group.
Joe.
They might want a taller group too.
You know what I mean?
Because they're werewolves.
You see what I'm saying, everyone? I know this sounds shallow.
The werewolf group should be taller. Me. I know they should be taller than the vampire group. This is a shallow
industry, but I'm being serious about it.
No, I could see, I understand it. If you ask me, ones you have hearts on, what's funny is Gaku, Maki, and Hayate look like Treasure members. They look like the members of Treasure, which is your favorite group. So
they really do.
More jockey looking, more like a jock.
I have a favorite type of idol. Like, I have a bias type, and all 3 of them fit that type.
They look more like an all-American. I'm not all-American, but like the equivalent of an all-American kid, jock kid in Korea.
Boy next door.
Yeah, not a nice kid. Yeah.
Cute. So Fuma and Yuma, I think, are both really skilled. I think that they have a ton of potential.
Potential to be in there, yeah.
I just don't know. They're wild cards for me.
Yeah, Fuma because of his age, I think.
Like, we've said that over and over. Like, this is coming from someone who watched Island, you know? Like, they are harsh. Like, this is a hard...
Of the 4 in the group now...
So, the 2 of them, I don't know. And for me, as I've said since the beginning, as far as the Korean members go, I think they're precious, adorable, lovely, talented.
You mean Junwon, Minyoung, and Yujin.
Yeah,
They can't see you pointing.
Oh, sorry. The 3 of them, I think they're amazing. I want them to debut not in this group. I want them to be in a K-pop
I wouldn't
group.
be sad if they're in the group, but
I want them to be not in this group. Not. I know it's probably unfair to say that because they're the Korean members, but I really think they would be better suited in a Korean. Yes.
I thought somebody else was Korean.
Did you don't notice it? I mean, I don't speak Korean or Japanese.
But you know when there's an accent being spoken.
No, Minyoung always speaks Korean to the boys.
I didn't even notice
He doesn't even try to speak Japanese.
I'm so used to hearing Korean and Japanese that I didn't notice.
And they always edit it to just show the response like as if
somebody translated it.
So I think most of them are pretty good with both languages because they get it. But anyway, the 3 of them, I love them. I don't want them to be in Hype's Japan group. I want them to be in Hype's other.
Okay, of the 4.
Group. So if minimum group size of 7, Hayate, Maki, and Gaku, it's not realistic for that to be the 3 if it's a 7 size group. But for me, that is what can
and
make me
in
not
hyphen
devastated.
is how many members?
7.
Oh, I thought it was 9. Okay, I think this group would be 9 is my gut feeling. Because you need a little... Vampires are stronger than werewolves, technically, let's say, according to comic books. So they would need an extra werewolf to fight, so...
So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I bring in... if I leave out the wild cards of Fuma and Yuma, leave in my 3 faves, and the 3 shoo-ins, we have a 10-member group.
Which would be interesting.
Which I think would be very, very acceptable
You do need more... I'm saying you need more werewolves than vampires to have an even fight.
That would be very, very acceptable to me. A 10-member group.
Of the 4 group, of the 4 that are going to be in, unless some weird thing happens, is Fuma older than all 4 of them?
He's same age as Kay.
Okay.
I think Fuma should be an actor. I want to see him in a drama. Fuma should be the leader of the group, and Kay can be a sub leader. Don't start with me.
Have a 10-person group.
Kay is the leader.
What's Kepler's 11? 9?
9.
They have 2 leaders. Fuma leader or sub leader. Kay's leader or sub leader.
Here's another point of reference for a J-pop group. I has 11 members, and so does JO1. Both of the produced Japan members are freaking huge, and they're very popular.
And they have one
and they have a ton of members. So...
No, they might like big groups over there, but I thought it'd be 9, but they would do some weird thing like 10. What you have to do, I think what you have to do more realistically is say, of all there's 15 total in the show, how many do you need to eliminate for it to feel like an elimination show? And I'd say at least 5 or 6. You know, I mean, you can't a third.
No,
I'm just saying that. What I'm saying is, I think what they're not going to have 15 people and eliminate one person, right? Everybody would be like, that's outrageous. 3 people, so you do have to consider that they consider these type of flavor or structure things that give a feel to the show. But I think you might be right too. Is not only is Hybe has a certain look, but I think they might want to make a bit taller of a taller group too. Maybe.
There's just this level of like Hybe visual, and I just there just is.
Which is fine, but I also I hate seeing that because it cuts out so many people who are.
It does.
Just, I don't want to see the same looking. I'm not saying
I
they
could
look
be
the same,
wrong.
but
I could be totally wrong, but these are just my instincts right now.
Okay, but who here would look best with pink hair? Because you got to consider it. I think Hayate would look good with the colored hair. I think Joe would look good with the colored hair. Yuma. I think it's the part. The Maki's hair. I'm telling you, he's that All-American boy. He's a football player, but he's really nice. He never picks on it. He actually sticks up for, And he's like, seriously,
he's
has
not
that
an American boy.
He kind of, his hair is going to stay that way. You got to have the Hayate type of where it blows in the wind a bit to have the soft pink, like Jimmy or something.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my thoughts about where we're at.
I'm glad I was
right
consulted
now.
on that because I wasn't at all.
Well. Did you have different opinions than me?
No, you're always
right.
Round
4 is the BTS mission, so they're all going to do BTS songs.
Songs are all one song. Because they only played Dynamite.
Songs.
Oh, good.
We don't know the teams.
I don't want to
or
see
the
3
songs
versions
yet.
of Dynamite.
We don't know We don't know the teams or the songs yet.
Dude, I thought this last
fun.
episode.
That's fun. I liked the 17
Yeah.
theme mission and then a BTS theme mission.
It's not, and it doesn't feel like, well, we're hyped, so of course you're going to do this. It's like, no, you're going to do these group songs because they're good groups and some of the most successful in K-pop. So yeah,
it shows like the hype style as well.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to do this? So anyway, that we don't know much about it yet, but it's the last of the rounds before final.
I don't know.
We're on episode 5 of 8, so there's 3 more.
Well, there's 2 more chances they said to fill up the end balls, so that's probably at least 3 episodes.
There's 8 episodes total, I think, if I'm not wrong. I think it's 8 episodes total. We're on 5.
Wow.
So there's 3 more weeks.
Maybe they're going to do a longer
Please
episode.
tell us how big the group is going to be.
You know what? I think that the group size will be an announcement.
You're killing me.
I think I could see them making
You're
that as being
literally
like,
killing me.
like it'll be.
Or they just don't decide until the very last day.
Or you see, they didn't show a lot about this next episode. Maybe there's some kind of surprise announcement. But
I don't know.
wait, no, the surprise on the next episode is so and so's groups didn't count towards their end balls for some reason. I was like, what? So okay.
But anyway, that's it for the past 2 weeks of the show. So looking forward to more. Thanks for listening. Tell us what your predictions are for a group lineup, what you think might happen, and then what you want to happen, like how I did it. So your dream group construction, and then your
the
maybe
dream group
realistic
construction that is not going to happen ever. It never does.
I don't know. I never get exactly what I want.
You have to kind of be realistic about it, but
yeah,
cool.
It's hard.
Good episode though.
Okay, thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.